left. Myers has it. He blows right by. Gets to the three-point line. Gives it off to Miguel Arnold. Rises and fires. Miguel!
Welcome to the Dip Mitra Show. It's a special occasion here today. The Augusta University Jaguars just won the Peach Belt Conference Tournament Championship yesterday on a Sunday. We're taping this Monday morning. The team won a share of the Peach Belt Conference regular season championship, hosted the tournament, won all 3 games, and became the champion of the conference for the second year in a row and the third time in 5 seasons. The team's 3 seniors who have been with the team the longest, Tyree Myers, Miguel Arnold, and Darren Lucas White, won their 3rd championship together in 4 seasons playing together. Tyshawn Crawford, the 7'1" senior, won his 2nd in a row. He was named MVP of the tournament. Miguel Arnold was named first team all-tournament. A couple other guys probably could have earned the same distinction. Coach, you're off today, and then you start preparing for the NCAA tournament this Saturday, which Augusta will host. But we're going to kind of put that to the side. We'll put the future to the side one last time and kind of reflect a little bit on the regular season and, for sure, this conference tournament championship.
Yes, Cork and the scheduling enable us to host the Peach Belt tournament, and as we go into the NCAA tournament, you only play the team that's on your schedule. Okay, so when you get into a tournament, people always want to look at brackets. So we knew we had Flagler the first game. We're not concerned about who's our next opponent, and we're very fortunate to beat Flagler. Columbus upset North Georgia. Lander technically upset USC Aiken. So next thing you know, we're playing Lander in a championship. So ironically, we played 2 of the 3 teams that we lost to during the year in the Peach Belt tournament. So very proud of our guys. I think we're getting a little better. Hopefully we're peaking at the right time. But the most important thing is you give some game experience in a tournament setting, which is unusual because, in regular season you play on Wednesday, tournament play on Saturday. Well, in this one, if you lose on, Friday, you don't get to play the next day. So really happy for our players and excited about this coming week coming up.
Yeah, you mentioned playing Flagler in the first round. Rewinding back a little bit, the last time we sat here, you had come off a dramatic victory on the road against North Georgia, and you were set up to play your final regular season game against Clayton State. So that at that point, you had won 2 in a row, and that winning streak, which is now 6, started at Flagler. Yes. And it was of these 6 games that you've won in a row, 5 of them have been by double digits. You talk about, coming together, playing, peaking at the right time, maybe. So you won by double digits at Flagler. You got a key victory over North Georgia on the road, and then the last 4 have also been by double digits. I think about the emergence or the really timely contributions from people like David Vitti, Jaquez Kirby, and Tyree Myers in this 6-game streak as being pretty pivotal.
Yeah, I'm sure we talked about it last time. We wanted Kirby and Vitti to shoot the ball more, and we needed to get a third option. And Miguel and Tyshawn were carrying us, and we always deal with Tyshawn's foul trouble. So you can't rely on 2 guys this time of year. And we've always been a team who's always been balanced in scoring. For whatever reason, this year we only have 2 guys in double figures. I think last year at this time we had 4 guys in double figures. But every team's different. Obviously, Tyshawn's Tyshawn, Miguel's shooting ability. So no, it was very important for those guys to be okay taking shots and missing shots. And I think that the little change we made defensively to rely on instincts a little bit more than principles has really helped us down the stretch.
All 3 of those guys that I mentioned averaged double figures in the Peach Belt Conference tournament to go along with Tyshawn Crawford and Miguel Arnold, and then the one that didn't out of those 5 averaged double figures. The one that didn't would be Darren Lucas White, but he stuffed the stat sheet. He has been over and over recently. 12 rebounds in a game, 9 rebounds in a game, 8 rebounds, had 6 assists, game high 6 assists yesterday. So, and then Chris Britt's emergence off the bench, scored 14 points in the semifinals. He's had just a long string of games. So in addition to key veterans playing some of their best basketball, the rotation, Dimitri Gardner, a freshman, the rotation has deepened as well.
Which is unusual. It has expanded a little bit. And, we started Meach in place of Darren just because Darren's playing too many minutes. Even though Darren's did not shoot the ball well in the championship game, his defense and rebounding is paramount for success. And, I was listening to another coach talk the other day, and I never thought of it this way. He goes, I knew this was going to be a defensive battle, so therefore I went with the best defenders, which is, you think, well, you want to go with guys who are going to shoot it. Well, against Lander, when you get down 22-4, hey, we better put some shot makers out there. So Vidi was able, really, without David Vidi, we don't win the championship. He comes in, makes some shots. They were surrounding Tyshawn. He hits one when they were doubling. Miguel hits one. Tyree hits one. Sometimes when you get down, you have to go to plan B. And I was really proud of the fact that we were able to get to a really bad start, one of the worst starts we've had in a while, but we never panicked. And we kept, there was a couple of stretches that Miguel had that look like, hey, if we're going down, I'm going down shooting. But at that time, we needed that, and then the focus started to become Tyshawn in the second half.
Well, okay, so you brought it up, and I basically buried the lead. The start of the championship game. Never seen anything. Last time we had a show, we said we've never seen anything like Tyshawn Crawford's steal to win the game at North Georgia. Well, I've never seen anything like what we saw yesterday at the beginning, where Lander, in the first 4 minutes and 41 seconds, Jalen Pugh makes 6 3-pointers, 6 of 6 from the three. Navon Mays started the game with 2 free throws, and he ended that run with a bucket. And 6 minutes in, Augusta trails Lander 22-4. Now, from that, I did some math earlier. There's a time when you guys went up 83-62. So that's 79-41 from that moment on. Almost a double up, a 38-point swing, run for Augusta. But when it was 22-4 and Jalen Pugh's out there making 6 straight threes, and so we talked about it a little bit after the game, but he made 3. After the 2 free throws, it's 11-0, and you call timeout with, I think it was 17:59 left in the first half, and you never
earliest
earliest timeout ever
I've ever called. I think yes, 100%. Since I've been in Augusta, yes.
And so you get the guys over there. I'm sure you're like, hey, you got to close out long or whatever whatever the terminology is. Come back on the court, and he makes 3 more, and then the clock never stops. There's no dead balls, so we don't get to the under 16 until under 14, and it's 22-4. And I want to talk about what came after that, but I'm sure people would like to hear what you're thinking at that point, or what your players are saying.
Yeah, well, we were stunned. Okay, so it's 22-4, and my first thinking was, okay, what am I going to tell our team after we lose tonight? I mean, I don't want to be negative, but I was like, man, we're down 18 points. It's very important to get off to good starts in big games. We definitely didn't do that, okay? A good friend of mine said to me one time, you cannot win a game in the first 5 minutes, but you can dang sure lose one in the first 5 minutes. And I was thinking, well, we're losing this game in the first 5 minutes. But then we went out there, and I remember looking up there, and they had 26 points. And I'm like, okay, they only got 26. They had 22 at the 15-minute mark. If we get this thing under 5 at halftime, we're going to be okay. I think it was 26-15. Yeah. Like, we're okay. Yeah. We're at 11. Yeah. And then I think Miguel and Vidi hit a couple shots. And the fact that we were down or up 2 at halftime, and I told my team, I was walking back. My wife doesn't stick around very much when we're down like this. So I was walking back to the locker room, and she was sitting out on the cement steps. And I said, hey, we're up 2, and don't worry, we got all our guys still here, okay? So, I told our guys in the locker room, hey, man, we're good, we're fine. Now, if that thing wouldn't have, it could have got ugly. It really could have. And it's funny, one of the coaches in our league texted me, he said, hey, we would have got beat by 50 if that would have happened to us. But Tyree's poise, Darren's poise, we took Tyshawn out, not because he wasn't playing well, but I said, we need to guard these guys, okay? So, and then we were able to get him back in the game, and they were surrounding him in the post. But no, it was the weirdest turnaround I've ever been around. And I did the same thing at the end of the game. I go, man, we were down 18 and won by big amount. So proud of our guys.
Well, and like I said, I do want to go to what happened right after that, but just to close that up, I still don't know exactly, at one time I thought it was 22-6 was the worst it got, but it was actually 22-4. At some time, I thought we were down 16-0, but the math can't work on that based on the threes and how. Right. So I really don't know like the exact sequence of that because the threes came so fast, and he wasn't. I know you said that we botched a couple helps, but really, in my opinion, he was shooting it in a way that you wouldn't expect, like letting it go. It's like, no, he didn't shoot that, you're actually closed out and contesting and he still, and it was such rapid fire. Now, again, let's get to what happened after that. Now, in my mind, here's how, how I process it. Cause I was sitting kind of in shock, but Darren Lucas White came in and made 2 steals in a row. Mm-hmm. The first one, what I would say is he didn't dive on the floor for the loose ball. He dove on the floor for a ball that wasn't even yet loose and just made a play that – and then the next one after that, I think that really turned things around. Yes. And then David Vitti makes a 3 and then a 2, both jump shots, 2 for 2 off that. He's been instant offense.
Yes, very well.
Instant offense.
Yep.
And so that was when it became 24-13. And then I can't remember who got the next 2. It might have been Dimitri Gardner. But then you get the 3-point play from Tyshawn out of a timeout, 24-18. And then you get 3 Vitti, 3 Tyree Myers, 3 Miguel Arnold, and you're up.
Yeah.
It just came out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere. Just as much the first 5 minutes came out of nowhere, it's the same thing. That run came out of nowhere. I mean, it was
dizzying.
It was. And, I always say, as a coach, I don't know the score. I just know down 16, down 14, down 12, down 11. Okay. But I knew 24. I mean, I knew that because I'm like, wow, they just gave us that many points the first 5 minutes. So I'm big about subtracting the whole time. Okay. And then we come in at halftime. What are we up to? Okay. So sometimes when there's a controversy on the thing, I would go, okay, we were up 3. We just hit a 2. That should be 5, So, no, it was a wild turnaround. And in the second half, when we threw the ball into Tyshawn, they started playing him one-on-one. And I think they did that because of our threes that we made. I said, okay, we're going to be okay because it's a game of attrition then. Yeah. It's foul trouble. Yeah. It's foul trouble. It's foul trouble.
Well, and let's get into that too. And I know I'm getting really wordy about all this, but I've got you for this amount of time. Then we have to look forward. So I want to pump you dry about this game yesterday. Now, you said in the post game that, and hats off to Lander coach Omar. Absolutely. What's his last name? I'm sorry.
Omar Watid, I think.
Yeah. Hats off to him. You talked about his innovative offensive strategies. You see him over there. He's kind of like got a little notepad, and he's directing traffic and all that stuff. And they get a lot out of what they have. And we saw it 2 days in a row. They got up on Aiken 25, got up on us 18, and so. They're pulling all the right strings. Now, what you've said recently is you've gone away from on defense, like, here's exactly how we're going to do every last action, more like, hey, let's play ball and guard somebody. Now, so the thought I had, I want to get your take on this. So, people say, Mike Tyson says, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Yep. Well, we got punched in the mouth in those first 4 minutes. Do you think it's an advantage in that specific instance, an advantage that you didn't have this intricate plan on how you're going to play defense, and it's more like, hey, let's play some ball and figure this thing out?
Yeah, so there's a saying in coaching, hesitant athlete is a non-athlete, okay? And we drill principles defensive day one and help rotate, all the crazy terms we use. And I go back to when I was at a coaching clinic years ago, and Phil Jackson called a timeout, and they said, well, how are we going to guard the ball screen? He goes, y'all figure it out. Yeah. Like, what we're doing is not working. And then sometimes the players figure it out, okay? So when we made a decision to put Kirby on Jacob Cooper, we had told him before the game, and I said, Coach, figure it out. You just guard him. Like, you're good enough to guard him. So sometimes you can overcoach offense, no question about that. But I think we overcoached defense early in the year. We were almost too sound, and we weren't letting our talent and athleticism go, and there's accountability now. If you get beat, it's exposed. And Miguel picked up his second foul helping at the end of the first half, which was good instinctual play, but no, we've kind of abandoned some principles. And even Omar said just recently, he said, we kind of hey, we're going to guard our guy. And he noticed it, you know.
Yeah.
So it was, like I said, it's a little adjustment we made, and I didn't know it was going to work. I really didn't. And it's really, really helped us this last number of games.
Well, and, you know, so I was talking about like David Vidi's instant offense off the bench, his production recently, you know, Jaquez and Darren and Chris Britt and all that. But probably the thing that has been the most responsible for your really resurgence here these last couple weeks is that defensive end of the court.
Oh, no question. It really has. And the numbers aren't where I like them. I'm a guy that wants the defense field goal percentage at 40%. But when we played Columbus the other day, they're the best defensive team in our league percentage-wise, defense field goal percentage. But they struggle to score, okay? Well, I think our adjustment defensively has helped us offensively, too. We had, I think you said 16 turnovers or what it was. Yeah. We're not known for that, but we had to do something. We were struggling. There's always issues with who Tyshawn's guarding. But, you know, like the other day, we put Tyshawn on Tommy Moore and said, just stay in the paint. Yeah. Like, I would never have done that. Yeah. And, you know, you got to, when it's not working, you better change, you know, and it wasn't working defensively. And I think our guys realized the accountability factor on them as individuals.
Yeah. Well, you talk about the numbers and, you know, you're big on the numbers and you want them to be at a certain place. That, you know, the numbers yesterday really tell a story. You know, you mentioned your opposing coach yesterday and the innovation and then you used the term analytics in our post-game interview yesterday. And, you know, you know, my father, for instance, you know, he taught me a lot about basketball. And he told me when I was in 7th grade, I remember, he told me the difference between winning and losing. And that was a time, you know, I'm a long way from 7th grade. So analytics wasn't a word at that time. No. And so what he told me then was it's all about rebounding, turnovers, and good shots.
Yes.
And then he explained it's like, because if you out-rebound the other team, you get more shots. If you turn the ball over less than the other team, you get more shots. And then if you take good shots, there you have it. You're going to score more points because you get more shots and you take the good ones. Well, yesterday couldn't have been more textbook to fit that way of thinking. Your team forces 16 turnovers and turns it over 3 times. Your team grabs 15 offensive rebounds and gives up 3 to Lander offensive rebounds. And your team shoots 26 free throws, makes 21 of them, more than 80%, whereas Lander shoots 8. And you know, when in a world of analytics and innovative offense and things like that, there's no substitute for taking care of the basketball and dominating the glass.
It is. And, you know, the referees didn't like my fact. I stated to him during the game. I said, we have made 488 free throws this year going into the game. They have taken 488. Because sometimes, you know, you look up there and there's 6 fouls to 2. It's going to be 6 fouls to 5. We have made as many free throws as they've taken, okay? And we're shooting a good percentage. The ability to get the free throw line slows the game down for us a little bit. And, you know, like, if I remember, Darren got the free throw line a couple times. Miguel did. You know, this analytics thing is a new era. My daughter's into this stuff, okay, because she's a math genius.
She's an assistant coach at Coastal Carolina Division I women's basketball. She does some analytical stuff when she was at Georgia, and I really don't understand it too much. I said, you know, the only stat, you know, you always see these coaches during the game, somebody run over a stat sheet. I don't do that stuff. I don't need that. The only stat I care about is the scoreboard. Just really. Subtracting the scoreboard.
Just, down 1, down 4, up 2, you know. So Joe Mazzulla, who the head coach of Boston Celtics, I was about 6 years ago, was with him in the Bahamas. Okay. And, you know, whatever years now, he's
when he was like 26 years old. He's a young guy.
And we're out there drawing plays in the sand down at some clinic in the Bahamas. And I read a quote the other day when they lost the big lead. He goes, well, the stats weren't aligning. The 3-point attempts for the Brooklyn Nets versus the rebound. I'm like, whoa, man, I'm looking at the scoreboard, okay? So maybe I'm a little old-fashioned, but no, this is the way it is. There's numerous people on staffs, and, you know, we're just not into that. I mean, not that it's bad, but I just kind of see a game differently, and it could hurt us. But I do know this. You're right. If you take good shots, you take care of the basketball, and you rebound, you really, really, really increase your chances of winning games.
Yeah. And, you know, adaptability. So, this is a Dip Mitras show. We're talking about Dip Mitras and his coaching. We also talk about the players. We talk about the season and all this. But, I'm really getting into your mind now as much as I can. And you said in the post-game interview that during that stretch in the first half when you're coming back and they're doubling Tyshawn and he hits Tyree for a three, he hits David Vitti for a three, Miguel gets 2 threes. You said that you think at that point they went off doubling because they're saying, okay, 3's more than 2, analytics. We'd rather give up a 2 from Crawford than a 3 from the guys we're leaving open. We don't know if that's Lander, what went through their mind, but based on what you saw, that was something that you guessed. And so you turn around, instead of saying, hey, these 3s are better than the 2s, keep kicking it out, Tyshawn, you turn around and start the second half by going to Tyshawn over and over and over. He scored 14 points in the first 6 minutes of the second half, on his way to 31 points, 9 rebounds, MVP honors for the tournament. But that, again, when did you... when you told yourself, if we can get to 5, we'll be all right the second half. Oh, we actually are leading by 2. Did you kind of that early on where you're saying, because then we'll start really going to Tyshawn?
Well, we came out second half. We ran some action to get Tyshawn the ball. Miguel throwing the ball to the post. I'm like, okay, I don't know if he missed. I think he made that one.
He missed the first one, and then he made at least 3 in a row, and then on his way to 14
right,
points.
And I remember telling him, scream, I go, just play right through the chin, right? Just don't. He was trying to avoid the contact. Just blast right through it and just shoot it. And he did, just because sometimes, he got called for the infamous charge call that only exists because he's 7'1". But sometimes he has to avoid that, like, to his defense. And first half he shot the ball right-handed. I think he surprised the referees by shooting the ball right-handed because they know him. Yeah. And he got fouled on a couple of them. But no, I jokingly told the referee, when we were up, I said, hey, we took Tyson out of the game and made your life a little easier right now because it's hard. He's hard to officiate. I get that. But let's just pound it inside. Yeah. And it opens everything else up. He at least 2 cuts for layups, I think. I hit Darren on one, somebody else on another.
Tyree.
Yeah, Tyree on another one. So, it's kind of old-fashioned, but you got to put it inside. You got a 7-footer. Let's try to utilize him. Yes. And, sometimes we call a play, and that play is he has to shoot it. And we ran it the other day, and Kirby shot. I go, Kirby, I love the fact you want to shoot it, but when we call this, it needs to go to him because you got to keep him engaged and, like I said, get the other team in foul trouble. Yeah. That's huge. Yeah.
And at the same time, in the beginning of the second half, when Tyshawn's scoring over and over on one end, the defense is at its very best on the other end. You force turnovers on at least the first 2 possessions of the second half, maybe more than that. And as you're playing that really good defense, we talked about Darren's defense in the first half. Tyree really started, now he's diving all over the floor, picking up loose balls. I guess I want to say, when you go from down 22-4 to up 82-63 and you outscore a good team like Lander, an NCAA tournament team like Lander, 79-41 over a stretch of about 32 minutes, are you playing your best basketball this season?
I hope so. And I do remember a couple of those loose balls because I remember Tyree diving on one, Darren diving on one, and then I remember there was one that Miguel was going for at half court. And I was like, I wonder if he's going to dive for this. And he kind of ran and got it. And then he started dribbling. I go, man, I hope he's not going to shoot this. Okay, because I literally thought he was going to shoot it. And
see, that's the difference between me and you. I'm saying let it fly, but go ahead.
Well, then when whoever threw the ball to Kirby, and I don't know what he was trying to, I guess, dunk it backwards on that play. And people are like, did he hit his nose on the rim? I go, no, I think he got fouled. And I have a great picture of him trying to dunk it backwards.
So you have a picture from yesterday on that play?
Okay. My daughter showed it to me. I'm like, what was he trying to do? Yeah. So, I read a lot, not by saying we're great, but like every once in a while you got to let those guys go, man. Let them go. And, Miguel was feeling, let him go, and we're not hard to scout, okay, because we know where the ball's going. But like one of the coaches said, like, we know what we're going to do. Now you got to stop it. When we're playing well, that's the key. So, no, like I said, it was great to win a Peach Belt, title, and with the implications of now hosting the NCAA tournament. So before the game, I had caught wind that we were hosting regardless. Okay. But I don't believe any of that stuff. I really don't. And I'm like, no, I don't believe this. We've not been won all year. Pembroke lost. Lincoln Memorial lost. And I told our guys before the game, I said, hey, how many of you guys got phone call and texts and all this stuff? And he's like, well, we didn't. We put it on Do Not Disturb. That's why I didn't know that existed, okay? So
Be Here Now.
Yeah, Be Here Now. And that was developed because of what we were going to have happen because we lost the national championship game. And then people were playing and we lose, and people are like, hey, what's wrong with your team? Oh, Kirby didn't play. Okay, what's wrong? So we really weren't Be Here Now. And then I'm like, hey, we're here now. Let's go. And we started developing that after that loss, and we changed our defensive philosophy. And then the other thing is on my practice plan is competitive stamina. Well, we didn't show it the first 5 minutes, but after that, and I was saying
I would say you did.
Yeah, okay.
You take that shot and a total absence of loss of composure. Like you saw no loss of composure,
right.
But go ahead.
Yeah, there's 120 minutes of basketball this past weekend or whatever, the 3 days. I thought for about probably 90 minutes, we were pretty dialed in, really competitive. Yeah. And, man, that's what you want to do because I was frustrated during the year. We had multiple segments where I'm like, come on, man, let's compete. Yeah. And so I that's the important thing, the competitive stamina, because you're definitely going to need it next week. And then the fact, Be Here Now. Okay, so I'm going to go way back. So we played Tusculum in a 1-8 game years ago. Okay. And they shot
this is a NCAA tournament
game in our arena. And I think it was very similar, kind of come off of the year we had. And they're shooting a three-pointer to win the game. And we were up 14 with 5 minutes to go. So, I mean, that's going to be my preaching to my team. Like, hey, I'm going to show them the picture. I still got the picture, okay? So this is a different thing when you go to the NCAA tournament because there's 64 of us left, 310 of us playing, and, there's a 12 o'clock game on Saturday. Somebody's going to be getting on that bus at 2 o'clock going home, okay? Not going to play another game, not going to go play a play. No, you're going home. And that's the finality that, you saw it with Nelson Haskins after the Columbus. Man, the guy was crying, and they had upset North Georgia, and they have a really good team. 9 losses against teams that are playing postseason play. Man, he was over. Yeah. So now there's a finale to this thing that's getting ready to come.
That's right. That's right. And again, burying the leads. There's so many leads. It's hard not to bury some of them. But you mentioned Do Not Disturb on your phone. So the story behind that is the team. Last season, we got to host the regionals. The regionals, for everybody out there, that's the NCAA tournament. The Division II NCAA tournament starts with regionals. And last year, we hosted the Southeast Regional. We're lucky enough to win the Southeast Regional and go on to the Elite Eight in Evansville. Well, this year, we were in position to be, we were second ranked in the region going into the conference tournament. And, we had 5 losses and UNC Pembroke had 2. So it's kind of a long shot. Well, UNC Pembroke loses Saturday in their conference tournament. And Augusta's been on this run. Now, you said somebody somewhere said, what's wrong with Augusta? 5 losses. I think people began to believe since you got to the championship game last year that you should never lose another basketball game. Yeah. And that was never realistic. So, you get the 5 losses. Somebody says, what's wrong with Augusta? Well, recently the NCAA Wayne Cavati, is that the kind of the expert on NCAA men's Division II basketball, he writes about Augusta's had the 5th most difficult schedule in the country this year. When you factor in wins and losses with strength of schedule, Augusta's got the strongest statistics when it comes to that in the Southeast region. So that's why we were in position to maybe, like you said, even if we would have lost yesterday, somebody thought maybe we would still be able to host. Well, we didn't. The team didn't lose. The team wins back-to-back Peach Belt championships. So now you get to host the NCAA tournament, and so people will want to know that. Saturday, 8 teams from the Southeast region, 4 from the Peach Belt Conference, will come to Christenberry Fieldhouse in Augusta and play the first round of the NCAA tournament. The next day, Sunday, The 4 winners will play the second round, and the 2 days after that, on a Tuesday night, the 2 winners will play in the Sweet 16, the region championship game, and the winner will get to go to Evansville. So very, very exciting stuff. If anybody was wondering at any point in time what's wrong with Augusta, I would say nothing at all. The team is in position to make memories again.
Chad, like not one of our guys said if we win the Peach Belt tournament, we're going to host. It wasn't in our mind. So we played, I don't know, this was weird. We played Thursday, Friday, so my days are all mixed up. So we played Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday, these losses happened. Not one player texted me. Now, my assistant texted me, said, did you just see what happened? And I had just logged on, okay, because I wanted to see the scores. And the first, I went to the SAC and go, whoa, UVA Watts is making Lincoln Memorial. And I'm like, what's going on? Okay. And then my brother's in town. He pulls up. He goes, hey, Belmont Abbey's up on Pembroke. I'm like, really? Okay. So I didn't watch it because it was literally the end of the game. But when it happened, I said, okay. Yeah. But not one player texted me. They don't like me, but they're not, I don't think they knew. Now I'm sure their parents and friends might text them. My wife was getting texts from people. Did you see that Pembroke lost? She's like, she didn't see it. Okay. Right. So, we're kind of insulated within our group and didn't mention it when I went to locker. We stepped and said, hey, you guys have got to know by now. And then that's when the do not disturb thing came out. I said, man, we're here to win a championship. This is what you guys want. I always preach regular season title, conference tournament. Yeah. And, we tied for the regular season title, but we're still getting a banner for it. And now we won the conference tournament. And, the ACC basketball, if I'm not mistaken, the conference tournament winner is the champion. There's no such thing as a regular season title. Okay. I remember Roy Williams complaining about that one time. Yeah. Now what's the next goal? The next goal is not to win the regional title. That's the stupidest thing this kid say. Their next goal is to win on Saturday. Yeah. And then you focus on whoever you play. We'll play at 5 o'clock. If we win on Saturday, we'll see the opponents play. And then we'll prepare for the next day. So things move very quickly in March. Yes. I read that, and it is true. I don't even know what the date is, but things move quickly in March, real quick.
Yeah, and Emmanuel, you mentioned it, and I've seen it too. Winners of 15 straight, got the leading scorer in the nation. So when I first kind of processed that 1 versus 8, and that's who we're up against.
It's a myth.
Well, when I first processed that, I said, "Oh, tough draw." But then I'm like, okay. Who's 7? North Georgia, and they, 2 weeks ago they were 20-4, top 25 team in the country. So it's almost like basically starting last weekend, but for sure going forward, every game is the equivalent of almost like a national championship game when it comes to the difficulty of the opponent.
Yeah, Division II is different. You're trying to get the best 8 teams in the region playing. We don't play a national schedule. It's not like Division I thing. So therefore, the committee got the best 8 teams in the tournament. Yeah. Okay, now. For whatever reason, Emmanuel was ranked and fell out of it. What do we get? We get to play a team that's won 15 games in a row. That's unheard of, okay? Yeah. And we actually played them December 31st. They lost the next game and have not lost since then. And, we'll start delving into the film. I'm sure my sister's doing it right now, but I'll delve into it tonight. But that's why it's the same thing. All our focus is on Saturday. Let's hope we can be here now, because – man, this thing is it's a possession here, possession there. You can go back. We beat Belmont Abbey obviously in a pretty good margin last year, and then the Pembroke game that was a 1 possession game. Yes. So and obviously the Queens game down the last second shot. So this is the fun part. Yes. And I would argue this: our guys aren't going to be too tight. That's not their personality. They're looking forward to it, and. There's a nice vibe going on right now.
That's great. Well, we are looking forward to it too. Speaking for the fans of the team and supporters, and so it is an official 5 p.m.
Yeah, well,
it's gonna be official.
I guess they call it the Dip Meachers rule. I play at 5 o'clock. That's why I want to play at 5 o'clock. I hope it hadn't changed, but we'll play at 5.
We'll put out a special bulletin if this ends up being false. But you can count on Augusta University hosting Emmanuel in the first round of the NCAA tournament this Saturday at 5 p.m. at Christenberry Fieldhouse. It will be the third of 4 games played, 4 NCAA tournament games played that day. Get out and see some big dance action, and thank you to Coach for being here, to Get Up Productions for producing the show, and we can't wait to see you again a week from now, Coach.
Thank you, appreciate it, and let's get a lot of people there Saturday because it's going to be important to play that game, and it's going to be anybody who went to the Peach Belt quarterfinals. Like, there was some good basketball being played, and the same will be held true for the regionals, no question.
Certainly.
8.3 left. Myers has it. He blows right by. Gets to the three-point line. Gives it off to Miguel Arnold. Rises and fires. Miguel!